Welcome to Indira Gandhi Institute of Dental Sciences, Department of Public Health Dentistry. Today we are going to discuss about disposal of healthcare waste. What is a healthcare waste? Healthcare waste is generally all the waste generated by the healthcare establishment, which may include a wide range of materials such as gloves, syringes, needles, bloods, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, body parts, diagnostic samples, radioactive materials, etc. So, healthcare waste can be divided into various categories such as infectious waste, which has lab cultures, pathological waste such as body parts and blood. Sharps includes needles, blades, or even broken glasses. Pharmaceutical waste such as expired drugs, genotoxic waste such as cytotoxic drugs or even the vomit or urine of the patient using these drugs, chemical waste such as lab reagents, solvents, disinfectants, etc. Waste with high content of heavy materials such as mercury or even cadmium, pressurized containers such as gas cylinders or aerosol cans, radioactive waste such as unused liquid from radiotherapy or even the contaminated glasswares. So next, coming to the color coding and segregation of healthcare waste. Usually healthcare waste is disposed in 4 different color of plastic bags. The yellow color plastic bag consists of human and animal anatomical waste, solid waste, microbial waste and biotechnological waste such as these lab cultures, etc. Red color plastic bags contains of contaminated waste such as IV tubes, catheters, urine bags, gloves, etc. Sharps are usually disposed in blue or white translucent puncture-proof containers. Black color plastic bags contains of discarded medicines or even cytotoxic drugs, and sometimes incineration ashes are also put in these black color plastic bags. Radioactive waste are usually disposed in lead box labeled with radioactive symbols. Treatment and disposal of healthcare waste. Healthcare waste are usually treated in various methods such as incineration, chemical disinfection, encapsulation, safe burying, etc. First, we'll just deal about incineration. So, incineration is just a high temperature oxidation process that reduces the organic and combustible waste into inorganic incombustible matter and results in a very significant reduction of waste volume. So, incinerators are usually used to reduce high volume of waste to as low as it can be reduced. Waste suitable for incineration. Low heating volume greater than 2000 calories for single chamber and greater than 3500 calories for pyrolytic double chamber incinerators. Content of the combustible matter should be above 60%. Content of the non-combustible solid should be above 5%. Content of non-combustible fines should be below 20%. Moisture content should be below 30%. So the waste which cannot be incinerated are pressurized gas containers, large amount of reactive chemical waste, silver salts, radiographic and photographic waste, halogenated plastics, waste with high mercury or cadmium, example broken thermometers or batteries, ampules containing heavy metals. So these are the materials which cannot be incinerated generally. Coming to the types of incinerators, incinerators are of 3 types generally: double chamber pyrolytic incinerators, single chamber incinerators and rotary kilns. Double chamber pyrolytic incinerators are usually designed to burn infectious healthcare waste. The waste is thermally decomposed through an oxygen deficient medium, producing solid ashes and gas. So the waste is put into the incinerator through the primary chamber. So this is the primary chamber here, and this is the burner, which is where the waste is burnt using a fuel burner. The waste is burnt using high temperature, so it generates a large amount of gases and odors which are just collected in this gas vortex. At the side there is an excess air supply. This just gets into the air vortex to just reduce the not to reduce, just to minimize the amount of gases and odors that are generated during a high temperature burning, and the minimized gases are exuded through this exhaust system. Next, coming to the single chamber furnaces. Single chamber furnaces with static gate is used only when pyrolytic incinerators are not affordable. So the single chamber furnaces also work as the same basis of double chamber. The only difference is that only one bag at a time can be since it is small like this, only one waste bag can be burned at one time. So that is the difference between a double chamber and single chamber, and this is cost efficient since it has only one chamber in it. Next, coming to the rotary kilns. Rotary kilns operates at high temperature, capable of causing decomposition of genotoxic substances and heat resistant chemicals. So basically this consists of a long rotating oven. See, this is the oven, long rotating oven, which is the main compartment in rotary kilns. In this the the rotary kilns just rotates 2 to 5 times per minute. In a rotating motion, it just burns all the waste materials in it. So this is the working process of rotary kilns. Coming to chemical disinfection, usually results in disinfection rather than sterilization. It is suitable for treating liquid waste such as blood, urine, stools, or hospital sewage. Solid waste including microbial cultures, sharps, etc. are disinfected chemically with certain limits. So you can see this is the picture of chemical disinfectant plant. All the microbial cultures and sharps are just put in this plant, where it contains various chemicals such as formalin or even sodium hypochlorite, etc. In this plant, the sharps and microbial cultures are just disinfected before being disposed to reduce the biohazards. Other waste which can be treated are blood, urine, stools, etc. in the same plant itself. Next, coming to the types of chemical disinfection. Various chemicals are used such as formaldehyde, ethylene oxide, glutaraldehyde, sodium hypochlorite, chlorine dioxide, etc. These are the chemicals which are used in a chemical disinfection plant. Next, coming to the wet and dry thermal treatment. First, we'll deal with the wet thermal treatment. It is based on the exposure of shredded infectious waste to high temperature, high pressure steam, and is similar to autoclave sterilization process. So this is the wet thermal treatment. It looks similar to the autoclave sterilization, but it is just little bigger than autoclave. So this is the chamber in which the shredded infectious waste are put in. There is a high temperature inside this chamber which causes high pressure steam, and then the infectious components inside the chamber are just destroyed. So now the shredded infectious waste is safe to dispose without causing any biohazards. Next, coming to the screw feed technology, it is the basis of a non-burn dry thermal disinfection process in which the waste is shredded and heated in rotating auger. So here the waste is just put into the hopper through this, and the materials come here where the screw feeder just shred the materials into pieces, and then they pass through these conditioner where there is where they are then put here, and high heat is passed through this, which just destroys the infectious components, and then they are compressed here. Advantages: they are environmentally sound, low investment and operating cost. Disadvantages: shredders are subjected to failure, need technicians to be operated, inadequate for anatomical and pharmacological waste. Next, coming to the microwave irradiation. Microorganisms are destroyed by the action of microwave frequency at about 2450 MHz and a wavelength of about 12.24 nanometer. Water contained within the waste is rapidly heated by the microwave, and the infectious components are destroyed by the heat conduction. So this is a big chamber available in the microwave irradiation. The materials are just put in this, and there is a microwave frequency which passes at about 2450 MHz, which just heats the water inside the container rapidly, and then the infectious components are destroyed during this heat. This is how the microwave irradiation works. So the advantages are good disinfection efficiency. Disadvantage is that high investment and operating cost. Coming to safe burying, it is used when this is the only viable option available, especially in the establishment which use minimal programs for healthcare waste management. This is the picture which shows that safe burying, how it is done. So the bottom layer consists of clay in these, and in the middle this is the biomedical waste. Above this biomedical waste, the soil or soil lime layer is just put. So there is one layer of biomedical waste, one layer of soil, one layer of biomedical waste, one layer of soil. That is how it is being buried. And next there is cement or embedded wire mesh above these layers. So after putting all the layers, it is then sealed with a cement or embedded wire mesh, and above this cement there is a 50 centimeter soil cover. You can see this is the soil cover, which is about 50 centimeter, and the entire burying is just fenced, just to avoid any persons entering into the burying site, as it may cause various biohazards. Basic rules to be followed. Access to the disposal site should be restricted to the authorized person only. The burial site should be lined with a material of low permeability like clay. Only hazardous healthcare waste should be buried so as to conserve space. Large quantities of chemical waste should not be buried at one time to avoid environmental pollution. The burial site should be covered with a layer of earth to prevent health hazards. Next is encapsulation. So this procedure involves filling containers made of high density polythene or metal drums with waste. The containers are then filled with medium of immobilizing material such as plastic foam, cement mortar or clay. After the medium is dried, the container are sealed and disposed of in landfill. So this is something very similar to safe burying. In this setup you can see there is at least 1.5 meter distance from the groundwater level, because it should not contaminate any groundwater that is available under here. So this is the container, which may be metal or polythene or any other impermeable material. So this is the biomedical waste inside it, and this is covered with cement over it. After covering with the cement, when the cement is just dried, the container is just buried deep into the landfill, and finally final cover of soil is just placed with slopes at the side. Advantages: This method is very simple, low cost and safe. May also be applied to pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceutical waste such as expired drugs or any genotoxic waste which may be more infectious also can be used here. Disadvantages: not recommended for non-sharp infectious waste. So the waste which are not so infectious needn't be done in this way, because this is highly recommended only for infectious waste to be safe away from the environment. So the last method is the inertization. This involves mixing the waste with cement and other substances before disposal in order to minimize the risk of toxic substances contained in the waste migrating into the surface or groundwater. So you can see the waste are just mixed with cement and other materials here. So this is just to decrease the risk of the biohazards being mixed with the groundwater and ground surface, just to prevent from the pollution of water, groundwater. So the proportion of this mixture should be 65% of pharmaceutical waste, 15% lime, 15% cement, and this forms a homogeneous mass, and then after which they are just converted into cubes or pellets and then transported to suitable storage sites. So that is about disposal of healthcare waste. Thank you.